My husband's estate, worth $80 million, along with this house, will be passed down to me. We don't have any children, so everything is mine. My sister-in-law speaks in a condescending tone. My name is Emma, and I'm a 45-year-old part-time worker. My husband and I have two sons, a senior and a sophomore in high school. Our eldest son is taking the college entrance exam this year. He aspires to be a lawyer and has been studying diligently, a dream he's had since he was a small child, likely influenced by my older brother, Oliver. Oliver, a lawyer, established his own law firm a few years ago. My eldest son, having grown up admiring my brother, has always excelled in his studies. When Oliver heard about my son's ambition, he was thrilled and encouraged him. My son often tells him, "I will be a lawyer like you, uncle." Oliver, chuckling, would reply, "Hurry up and become a lawyer and follow in my footsteps." Though married, my brother has no children and often visits us, spoiling my sons. His wife, 10 years his junior, is an eccentric woman who rarely visits, so we've hardly spoken. My brother lost our parents when we were young, so he took on a parental role when I got married. He married shortly after me. When we met his fiancée, we were surprised by her grubby demeanor. I told my brother and his fiancée, "You two are great together," but privately expressed my concerns to my husband. After the marriage, my husband agreed that she wasn't particularly pleasant. Before they married, my brother bought a house and we visited to celebrate. The house was magnificent, befitting my brother's success. My sister-in-law wasn't there, and my husband joked, "Has your wife already left you?" My brother's stern expression made us nervous. He explained that she often returned to her parents' house and was there for her mother's birthday. Suddenly, my brother asked seriously, "If I ever can't have children, can I adopt one of yours?" I thought he was joking, but he was serious. I couldn't respond, but my husband laughed it off, saying, "Let's discuss it when the time comes. If you're okay with our children, you can adopt whichever you want." My husband dismissed it lightly, but I was concerned about their marriage and the adoption. Whenever we visited my brother or he came to our house, his wife was never present. He never mentioned her, and I avoided asking. They had been married for over 10 years, and I had almost forgotten about her. This year, my eldest son was accepted into his dream law school. My brother brought up adoption again during the celebration. "Like I said before, would you allow me to adopt one of your kids?" he asked. He and his wife couldn't have children, so he seemed serious this time. My husband replied lightly, "Would you prefer our eldest son since he wants to be a lawyer?" He said it simply, but I was cautious. It was a major life decision for our sons, even if they would be with their uncle. I worried about my sister-in-law mistreating my son, who wouldn't be her biological child. I asked my brother, "Is your wife in favor of adopting?" He replied with a sour smile, "Don't worry about her. We've already discussed it." I was relieved they had talked about it, but I couldn't decide right away. I wanted to discuss it with my two sons first. They were in high school, so I felt they should make their own decisions. We didn't talk further that day, but a few days later, I got a call from my brother's law office. They said he had collapsed. I rushed to the hospital and found his colleagues waiting anxiously. My brother had a stroke at work and was unconscious. They couldn't reach my sister-in-law. I called her landline, but she didn't answer, and I didn't have her cell number. My husband and second son arrived later, and we eventually found a smartphone among my brother's belongings. We unlocked it and found her number. When I called, she answered angrily, "I told you not to call again. I will sue you." I calmly said, "It's Emma, Oliver's sister. My brother passed out and was taken to the hospital." She softened immediately. "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was Oliver. You said he collapsed." I explained his condition and which hospital he was in. She replied cheerfully, "I can't go right now. I have things to do. But let me know if anything changes," and hung up. I wondered what could be more important than her sick husband. Knowing my sister-in-law wouldn't help, we decided to take care of my brother ourselves. Since my eldest son had finished his university entrance exams, he visited my brother every day. My brother never regained consciousness and remained critical, but my sister-in-law never called or visited. About a week later, I called her again. She answered quickly and gleefully, "What's the matter? Did he die?" I wanted to yell at her but kept my composure. "He's still alive." "Why don't you visit the hospital?" she retorted. "I'm not a doctor or a spiritual healer. There's nothing I can do for his recovery." Her demeanor infuriated me, so I hung up. I began to suspect that my brother's wish to adopt one of my sons stemmed from giving up on having children with his wife. When my brother got married, I asked how they met, and he said through a marriage agency. I wondered if she married him for his status as a lawyer and a good life. This thought enraged me more, but my husband said something crueler. If Oliver dies, his wife will inherit everything since they have no children. Maybe he wanted to adopt because he was thinking about his inheritance. I wish I had decided sooner, but it was too late. After my brother's visit, I casually mentioned adoption to my sons. My second son said he would be happy to be adopted. Unlike my eldest, he had no clear goals and thought life with Oliver would be easy. I expected my eldest, who admired his uncle, to want to be adopted too, but he surprised me. I don't want to be adopted because I want to take care of you, Mom and Dad. I was overjoyed but knew my eldest, aspiring to be a lawyer, was the right choice for adoption. I couldn't complete the adoption process on behalf of my unconscious brother. I didn't want his inheritance but didn't want his wife to get anything either. My brother never recovered and passed away a few days later. I had to contact my sister-in-law. My brother recently passed away. Can we arrange the funeral? She responded cheerfully. Everything is up to you. Please don't appoint me as a pallbearer. I don't want to deal with any formalities, and hung up quickly. My husband and I planned the funeral, helped by my brother's law firm staff. Though my brother was the firm's representative lawyer, he had delegated management to a trusted colleague, so the firm would continue operating smoothly. Many people attended the funeral, and there were so many wreaths they couldn't all fit in the hall. I realized how wonderful my brother was once again. My sons helped with the funeral, but my second son, seeing the prominent attendees, was frustrated. I knew I should have been adopted. I had no idea how amazing he was. My husband and I understood his sorrow. I served as a pallbearer, but no one asked about my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law wasn't there, and no one mentioned her absence. I wondered if we were the only ones who knew my brother had married. My brother and his wife didn't have a wedding, only a honeymoon, so even our relatives might have missed it. Seeing what was happening now, I almost wished they had never married. Who needs a wife who doesn't attend her husband's funeral? I regretted not allowing my brother to adopt my second son sooner, fearing she would take all his estate. With the help of the law firm staff, my brother's funeral was completed. I invited everyone to my brother's house for a meal to thank them. My brother will be able to rest in peace because of all of you, I said. We were all very sad when my sister-in-law appeared in a flashy pink coat. She addressed us as if she had planned to arrive just as the funeral ended. Why did you come here? I asked. With a big smile, she announced loudly, my husband's estate of $80 million, as well as this house, will be passed down to me, his wife. We don't have any children, so everything is mine. For some reason, her triumphant statement made my brother's subordinates laugh. We looked at them, confused. My sister-in-law glared and yelled, what exactly are you laughing about? You're so impolite. One of the lawyers, smirking, responded, we know you're officially divorced. We all knew the result of your divorce settlement the day before he collapsed. I exclaimed, what? You were divorced? My sister-in-law stared at the lawyer who had revealed the truth with a terrifying expression. When she clenched her teeth, another lawyer started talking. I also heard that you were charged alimony in conjunction with your divorce because your affair caused it. It is inevitable. My sister-in-law yelled, I'm not required to pay alimony, am I? I no longer have anyone to pay. She spoke mockingly, but the lawyer quickly retorted, the right to alimony will also be inherited, so you will have to pay it to Emma. She's the inheritor. For the first time, I realized I was my brother's sole inheritor, as our parents were gone, and I was all that was left. My sister-in-law seemed to realize this too, and looked at me with a horrified expression, causing me to step back. Still unconvinced, she yelled, don't I get half of the estate now that the divorce is settled? A dismayed lawyer responded, didn't Oliver give you money when the divorce was finalized? I have a receipt certificate. He also purchased the house before the marriage, so it is not subject to property division. I enjoyed watching her being lectured by the lawyers. She recalled something and chatted while laughing a little. There's life insurance. I should still be the beneficiary. She impressed me with her attitude, acting confidently despite everyone being against her. She said she had changed the beneficiary of Oliver's life insurance to herself. However, the lawyer quickly denied this. Oliver is a firm man. I think he changed it when the divorce was finalized. I searched my brother's belongings and found the life insurance policy. When my sister-in-law saw it, she snatched it from me and impatiently looked at the beneficiary. She dropped her shoulders in disappointment and handed the certificate back to me. The beneficiary was me. Realizing she was getting nowhere, she yelled, "I married a lawyer because I thought he was wealthy, but I've only got a little money, and now I have to pay alimony. This is a huge mistake." The lawyer replied grimly. Oliver said the same thing. He regretted taking advice from a marriage counselor and bemoaned that he had made a huge mistake. My brother had never said anything like that to me, but he had always been truthful with his colleagues and subordinates. Unable to refute anything, my sister-in-law stormed out of my brother's house. She would have to pay alimony in installments, but she didn't have a job. She began looking for one quickly but quit immediately. She re-registered with the marriage counseling agency, looking for a wealthy man to make quick money. She found one and cheated him out of his money, but he caught on and reported her to the police. She was arrested for marriage fraud, according to the lawyer who worked at my brother's firm. No alimony was ever paid to me, and when I went to see the lawyer about it, he told me, now that she has been apprehended, alimony payments may be impossible to obtain for the foreseeable future. Alimony wasn't something I was interested in. I was more interested in seeing her suffer a terrible fate, and I believed my brother would agree. I hoped the police would investigate her thoroughly and charge her as a felon. My family moved into the house my brother left behind after unexpectedly inheriting his property. My husband and sons were ecstatic to live in a big house after previously living in an apartment. My eldest son was studying law harder than ever before. Observing my brother's colleagues and subordinates argue with his sister-in-law made him yearn to be a lawyer. Though he was never adopted, I hoped he would carry on my brother's legacy and become a great lawyer like him. My second son, however, was upset and disappointed that I inherited my brother's entire estate. He half-jokingly said, "I wish I was adopted by uncle so I could have inherited everything."